Hello and welcome to my channel. This is another tag video, and I actually feel quite excited about this tag. I first saw it on Brian's channel called Bookish, and it was made by Daniel from Guilty Feet. And I am, I said this, but I'm quite excited about this tag because I feel like this tag was destined for me. So this is the Skip to My Loo tag, and it's essentially about reading in toilets, which is basically what I do. It is part of my personality, it's part of my DNA. Reading in the toilet is, you can say, it's an integral part of who I am as a person. So, without further ado, let's get to the questions. It's very quick. I hope that it's going to be a quick video, although, I don't know, I might be talkative about it because it's about reading in the toilets. You have so many things to say about that. So, number one, do you read in the loo or bathroom? Yes, of course, I read in a toilet. I also read in bathtubs whenever I have the chance to enjoy myself in the bathtub. And I also read under the shower. But reading under the shower is a little bit tricky. Basically, my body, my torso, my head would be under the shower, but I would make sure that my reading material is beyond the reach of the shower. So I would have to extend my hand, far from me so that my book does not get wet. So that's how I usually read under the shower. And I would usually read about half until one chapter under the shower. While I'm using the toilet, usually I could read maybe 2 chapters at most, because I try not to stay too long in the toilet. So that's my reading style in the toilet. So number 2, if yes, what do you consider appropriate reading material and an appropriate format for such a place? I think you can read literally anything in the toilet. Basically, reading in the toilet was actually a habit that I cultivated since I was a kid. And back then, I used to read somewhat different things than I'm reading. What I'm reading right now. I used to read Malay romance novels. I used to read comics. I would also bring magazines to the toilet. And then also one thing is that I would bring dictionaries into the toilet, because sometimes I would feel this strong urge to go into the toilet, and if there was no other appropriate reading that I could bring to the toilet at the time within my reach, then I would get a dictionary. And I would only read dictionaries in the toilet. I don't usually read dictionaries outside of the toilet. I would read, we used to have this Chinese character dictionaries, these bilingual Malay-English dictionaries. And because I live in Malaysia, we also have this trilingual Malay, Chinese, English dictionaries as well. And because I was a kid, I also used to have picture dictionaries, which was pretty much bilingual, trilingual, or more languages, but with pretty pictures. So I would bring those. So yeah, I sort of had this habit of reading dictionaries at that time, and surprisingly, reading dictionaries can be quite interesting. And also at that time, we also used the phone book. Sometimes I would bring phone books into the toilet. In case I simply forgot or wasn't able to bring any reading material into the toilet, I would read shampoo labels, because we would have those, or cleaning liquid labels, whatever labels that I could find in the toilet. So I can safely say that I don't find those, chemical terms really daunting. I wonder if that was part of my inspiration to study chemistry in college, but who knows. So yeah, those are the things I would read in the toilet. Nowadays, I would pretty much bring whatever I am currently reading right now into the toilet. So, that would certainly include the things, the books that I'm raving or ranting about on my BookTube channel. Very likely, those books, I have experienced reading them inside the toilet. So, it's totally possible, when my first time experiencing the pleasure of reading those books, or the anger that I had, the frustration about certain books that I just didn't enjoy, it's highly possible that I felt those first in the toilet. So yeah, the toilet can be momentous in that sense. Format, usually I would bring, of course, my physical books, and I would also, sometimes I would just bring a phone into the toilet. So I would watch videos, YouTube videos, or read on the phone in the toilet. So if you are a BookTube content creator, very likely I have watched your video in the toilet as well. So yay, I guess. In the bathtub, however, I would not use electronic devices. I would just settle with physical books. Although, something about the bathtub is that I can't read for a very long time in a bathtub. Bathtubs, they sort of have this image for me. I love the idea of reading in the bathtub, but I don't particularly enjoy reading in a bathtub itself, because it is actually quite inconvenient. Your hands can get wet, and when you touch the physical book, your book can get wet, and there is also that risk of your book falling into the tub, which is absolutely scary. And usually I cannot last longer than reading 3 pages when I'm enjoying myself in the bathtub. Nonetheless, I would always try, whenever I have the opportunity to enjoy a bathtub, to read in the bathtub, because there's just, I like the idea of it. It feels very bougie. It feels like when you're enjoying yourself in the bathtub, at least in my life, it feels as if you are doing well enough. You're there economically. Bathtubs are sort of like a status symbol, at least in how I perceive it. So I just like the idea of it, but really, reading in bathtubs is just kind of inconvenient for me. So before I move on to the next question, I also want to add that I don't really bring scary or horror books into the toilet, because I don't know, maybe it's because of how I grew up in a Southeast Asian country, and we sort of have this sentiment about toilets and bathrooms being sort of a space in the room that is fairly dirty in the superstitious sense. So it is sort of easy to get creeped out inside the toilet. So I don't really bring scary books into the toilet. And I also try not to read scary materials in the toilet, because whether you are a rational person or not, if you have, if you grew up in a particular kind of environment surrounded with particular sentiments, feeling creeped out by certain things is not something that you can just simply brush off. So yeah, I will not read scary stuff in the toilet. So the next question, the next prompt would be, pick a book you have read with at least a tenuous connection to loos or baths. So the book that I'm going to share with you, I'm going to read an excerpt because I really like this book, and I think I would just pretty much find an excuse to just share with you this excerpt because I just love it so much. And this book is not really related to the toilet, but the scene is taking place at a toilet complex, and everyone is like sort of scrambling to use that toilet complex. So this book is Djinn Patrol on the Purple Line by Deepa Anappara. So here it is. Clever men use the melee to scramble over others so that they can get to the toilets without paying the fees. The caretaker runs after them. The woman behind us smiles and her face brightens like she has managed to do a big poo after ages. In case you're wondering, the narrator is actually a child narrator. So if you find that sort of reference to body secretion jarring, well, you know, there you have it. You know, kids love toilet humors. Kids think in toilet terms. Very #relatable. So yeah, you know, any excuse to share that excerpt with you. Finally, I have one. So next one, skip to your loo and show us what reading material you keep there. I don't really have reading materials there. Or maybe I do. Let's go. So as for reading materials, I don't keep any books because, you know, they can get wet. But we can always survive with some shampoo labels. Okay, so that's enough. That's it for this video, but before I end, I would like to conclude this video with a short reading of something that is so related to, you know, my toilet reading experience. So here it is. Ingredients: water, sodium lauryl sulfate, cocamidopropylbutane, acrylates copolymer, sodium hydroxide, glycerin, Leontopodium alpinum flower extract, rhododendron ferruginum extract, fragrance, hydrated silica, mannitol, cellulose, tocopherol acetate, synthetic wax, sodium chloride, zinc chloride, sodium oxide, calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, alumina, ferric chloride, disodium EDTA, methyl chloroisothiazolinone, methyl isothiazolinone. Thank you.